Publishers, will be talking to us about quite a few issues with regard to that industry. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Edith. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Now, Moran Publishers, which we may have previously referred to or known as Macmillan Publishers, has changed in different ways, not just through the name. So perhaps you can take us through some of those changes and how it's impacted the publishing house.
Well, thank you, Edith. Perhaps for the general public to know, Macmillan, which has been in this country for over 40 years, publishing in the education sector, sold its rights to locals. I'm proud to say I bought most of the rights. And I did this purposely to show that we as Kenyans can run an industry that hitherto was thought to be only in the hands of white men. The past has seen Kenyan publishers grow very, very well. I think we are only rated third in Africa, from Egypt and maybe South Africa. Nigeria tries, but they're not as good as we are. So we're happy that Moran now is in the hands of Kenyans, and we promise that this is a company that people need to watch. It will grow from strength to strength from now onwards.
All right. Now, Moran Publishers, as was known previously, was very strong in terms of publishing textbooks. Is that going to be the same case, or are you going to venture out into more fictional books, more novels?
We have in our docket not just textbooks, even in the past. I think we are the only publisher who have ventured into serious literary writing. We have the best novels in the market, series that are called Pace Setters. We have Readers for Children, which are fantastic, both in English and in Kiswahili. And our intention is to build on that so that we can make it even richer. What has happened in the past is that we were probably more skewed just towards books for schools. And now we're saying it is necessary also to publish books that can be used by adults. We are also very keen these days, as you will probably understand, is that everybody is talking about going digital. And the e-book is becoming a reality. And we're saying in Kenya, most of us have not gone or taken that route. And we're saying, I think that is the future. And we are very keen as Moran to venture into e-publishing. And as expensive it might be, we are saying somebody has to take the bull by the horns, and we are ready to do that.
I might have jumped the gun a little here by asking you all these questions about what you're doing, how you've changed. But what exactly is the role of the publisher? Because as an author, I'll come with my works, and then how does the publisher take on from there?
Good. A publisher makes what is in your mind, sometimes what is in your head, makes it public, known by the people. Because if you keep things to yourself, they'll never be known by the rest of the people. Just like the newspapers tell us about what is happening. Books that are published by publishers actually gather the wealth of your brain and share that wealth with the people out there. That is the role of the publisher. This is what is not experienced by most people, that what you're doing is literally brain work. People assume publishing is simply maybe taking pen to paper and printing. No. Printing and publishing are very different. It's the mental angle that is very, very important about your intelligence, so that you can sit down, transcribe something, and then it's my job now to take that matter as a publisher and make Edith and other people read it, see it, and get your wisdom so that they can apply it in the world.
Obviously, it takes quite an amount of commitment and dedication, and I know that the prices of publishing is the price rather of publishing is increasing. Does that have anything to do with the increase in the price of paper, or what is that about?
Yes, indeed. You see, yeah, well, factors like I said, my brain and yours and everybody else's remain standard. The cost of paper in this country is just prohibitive. Our biggest problem is that we don't manufacture paper anymore. We import all the paper we use for production of books. We import all the inks that are used in printing the said books. These inks and the paper attract a lot of duty. that causes the cost of the book to go higher and higher. Everybody out there assumes it's the publishers who are raising the prices because they want a profit. It's not true. Yes, we want a profit. We are not a charitable organization. We do want profit. But at the same time, what happens in the industry is something we cannot control. We don't do the printing. We commission printers to do the printing for us. And the printers will have to charge us the costs that they have paid for the paper. If we can have a way where the government can subsidize the cost of paper that is going to be used in printing of school books, that would be very helpful.
All right, but I mean, just to give us a rough estimate of what the figures look like, how much does it cost, for example, to print or to publish rather, a normal class 8 textbook? Just give us a ballpark figure.
One course book to develop and put into the market will cost you in the region, just what we call early processing of the book alone will cost you around 5 million. One book, 5 million Kenya shillings. Now, and that is even before you go to press. If you go now to a printer, a book that is around 200 pages, just pure black and white, will cost you about 80 to 100 shillings to print per copy. Now, if you add your origination costs to this printing cost, and then the other will probably take home 10% of the royalties that you pay them out of what you take. And a bookseller would demand a trade discount of 25 to 30, 40%. The publisher is left without nothing. It's a very painful thing to do, but it's true. But I will cough a lot of money to invest, and I'm the one who is investing, and I spend my money up front. Then I keep waiting to be paid when people buy the book. And quite often, the same textbook that you put in the market, if it is not taken into the system, if it is not approved by KIE, if teachers do not like it, it will never be bought. But I've spent my money.
Right. Now it seems because of all those little areas where, you know, you're talking about the publisher and then there's the printer, the printing factories, and then you have the retailers, the authors. Everybody wants some form of, yeah. And the person who will suffer might be the student, because the prices of that book will go high, which brings the question, how accessible are these books and how many students have these textbooks? Because according to the Ministry of Education, they're saying that it's a ratio of 2 to 1 for the books. But what are the figures that you have? The Ministry of Education has had a very noble task where they said they would want students in upper primary to have a textbook ratio of 2 to 1 and lower primary 3 to 1. Secondary school maybe 1 to 1. And it is the spirit, that spirit that informed the FPE and now free day secondary schools. Now, it is always assumed that when you buy books in 1 year, and the amount of money, of course, the government gives is never enough to buy enough books for one class in any 1 year. Because think about this, an average book at primary level will cost a Kenyan 250 Kenyan shillings, one book. That's the average cost. There are some items that will cost 1,000 shillings and more, just one item. At secondary school, the average cost will be around 400, 500 shillings per single book. Yet, the money available per student per year for books is not the 1,000 people that read about. It is just about 500 shillings per student per year. That is per pupil, both primary and secondary. 500 shillings can only buy, on average, one book, or maximum 2 if you're buying for primary. So for you to say you have accomplished a ratio of 2 to 1 or 1 to 1, you need to go through a cycle of 6 years. By the time you get to the 6th year, the books that you bought in the first year are already torn and wasted. Or outdated.
Completely outdated. Well, you've seen what has happened. For example, think of a subject like social studies. We were talking about the old constitution just a year ago. No, 3 months ago. Now we have a new constitution. All the books that we had in social studies talking about the old systems are gone. We were talking about provinces 4 months ago. Now we're talking about counties.
Right.
The books have to change. The cost comes to the publisher. We, as Moran, had to destroy books worth 20 million shillings. Social studies books worth 20 million shillings because they did not conform to a changed syllabus of social studies last year. Now the syllabus has to change again. Imagine the cost to us. Imagine the cost to the child. Unfortunately, it has to be done.
All right, 2 more questions before we wind up. Do you think the government should work with the publishers to ensure that, you know, first of all, these things are done in a seamless way that does not hurt the student? And number 2, that they can create cost-effective measures of publishing?
The government cannot work alone. They can never work without the publishers. If they work on their own, then they'll mess. Or we go back to the old days when we had a monopoly. There were days when the government thought they could use Jomo Kenyatta Foundation and the Kenya Literature Bureau as the only institutions to supply books to schools. What happened is that quality suffered. When the government opened up the field in 1998 and allowed other publishers to come into play, the quality improved and the prices were controlled. Indeed, today, although we do consult with the ministry when we are increasing prices of books in the Orange Book, if you check in the market, prices do not fluctuate the way they used to fluctuate in the older days. So the government does well when they work with the stakeholders. And publishers are major stakeholders in the education sector in this country.
Right. We've been talking about textbooks quite a bit, but to the literary works, do you suppose that maybe these prices of books and all these costs which are going in place may affect the reading habits of Kenyans? Because if I really want a book, but it costs me 1,150, then I would much rather not buy it.
No, I won't agree with you there. I have my own views. Kenyans might like them, they might not like it. My view is that Kenyans don't read.
Full stop.
Full stop. And those who read foreign materials. Kenyans hate themselves. Forgive me for saying this. Kenyans hate themselves. It's something I propagate. I say we have a philosophy of self-hate. Anything published by a Kenyan is not good enough. Anything published from Britain or America, Sydney Sheldon, etc., even if you said it 1,000, Kenyans will buy. We have a big problem. That is why we go on the road, oh, what can Kenya do? That is why we don't even cheer Harambee Stars. Every time Harambee Stars loses, we are happy. Instead of actually looking at the problems and solving it as our own.
Well, I'm pretty sure there are people who are seated at home who would disagree with you quite a bit.
Seriously, we have a problem. My own issue is that we should grow our own and we should be proud of what we have. I was happy when I was listening to Ohito when he said, we need to be patriots. If I am a true patriot, then I will prefer Kenya to anything outside there. And every time I have traveled out, I compare my home with what I get out there, and I will still say, east or west, believe me, home is best. Kenyans need to read Kenyans. We have materials, and you excuse me for saying this again. I wish university lecturers are listening to me. We have published Kenyan university lecturers. Their colleagues in other universities will not support their material because what does he know? He was with me in college. What does he know? What does she know? But they will continue using the books they used when they were in school themselves. So it's like we stagnate around a small...
Right.
Yeah. We need to grow and we need to value ourselves. That is what we don't do.
David Mwita, who is the Managing Director for Moran Publishers. Thank you, Moran Publishers Limited. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Some very strong views. If you agree with him, if you don't if you agree with him, if you disagree with him, send us an SMS. Tell us what you think. We'll be right back.